Okay, pal, you want smash mouth power and efficiency? Then here's your starting lineup. Ford F-Series, #1 for 37 years straight. Talk about a dynasty, baby. Hey, it's game time, sports fans, at the Bill Ford Tough Sales Event.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from the lobby of First Financial Bank right here in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Waynes, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to 90.5 KTRL and tarletonsports.com/listen live. Please help me in welcoming the first-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, we're 8 shows into this, and these shows, they're a lot more fun after a couple of wins, aren't they?
They definitely are. Definitely are. And they're a lot more fun in the snow,
yes.
too.
I was glad to see Jeff Smith made it by from Sports Information. He was in the ditch the other day during the ice. But Coach, you missed a couple days of school earlier this week. How does that affect your practice schedule? Can you go longer? Can you not go at practice at all, or what do you do?
Well, of course we had Sunday off,
right.
And we always have Sunday off after a Saturday game. But I had also planned on giving them Monday off, so they knew they had Sunday and Monday off, and their plan was to go get their hair ready and their shopping done for the conference tournament. You know, priorities when you coach women.
Important things.
But with the ice, they didn't get to do that. But they did get a day off and let their bodies recover. But we did practice on Tuesday.
Well, Coach, let's jump right into it. On Saturday, you hosted Eastern New Mexico in a big Lone Star Conference fight. You won that game 77-68. Your general thoughts on that game?
I thought it was a great team win. I thought our girls went out, played well, played hard, played physical. And, you worry sometimes when Tucker and Stinnett have a good night together. And I thought they had a decent night. Stinnett took a lot of shots. I think she took 20 shots to get the points that she got. We did an okay job on Tucker, especially in the second half. The first half she did pretty much what she wanted to. But the biggest key was that we limited everyone else on their roster to scoring.
Now, whenever you mention Sarah Stinnett and Tori Tucker, Stinnett shot the ball 20 times. Tucker needed 8 points of her 17 from the free throw line. So that's got to say good things about the defensive effort.
And I think we did do a good job defensively against them. Took several charges, and I did a better job in transition and not giving up half-court layups than we did the last time we played them.
Coach, a stat that I alerted you to on Saturday, you are the first women's basketball coach in Tarleton history to win more than 14 games in your first season. So congratulations. Hopefully there are many more.
I hope so.
Coach, that Eastern New Mexico game, you really did everything well except for the 17 turnovers. And after the game, I asked you about that, and I really liked the answer that you gave as to why you had 17 turnovers.
And one of the keys against them was to really push the tempo. We knew we had the depth on them, and if one of our girls got tired during transition while we were running the floor, we told them to ask for a sub. We'll get somebody else in to run the floor. And when you do that, when you play that way, kind of a faster pace, you are going to turn the ball over more, and we did, but we were able to capitalize on a lot of those opportunities as well.
How was the intensity against Eastern New Mexico? Because that was one factor that we talked about in the game against West Texas A&M. That the intensity wasn't quite there. How was it against Eastern?
I thought it was much better, and most of the time these girls are going to respond. They know the mistakes they make, and they're 18 to 22-year-olds. So if you know any 18 to 22-year-olds, their focus and they're a little bit. I think they're all ADHD, a little bit, but they tend to lose focus a little bit, and you have to kind of redirect them. And I feel like the West Texas game did that.
When I talked to Coach Marks before the game, he was preaching the finer points of this basketball game, and he said that Eastern really likes to run the floor, but he mentioned that that they run the floor more now than they did the first time that we played them. Was that true?
Yeah, I think as Stinnett became a bigger and bigger factor for their offense, and she's fast and she never gets tired, and she's tough to guard because she's got that low center of gravity. She's small and she's kind of sneaky through there, and she really likes to push the ball. That's the way she plays. So if they're going to follow her lead, then I think everybody else kind of had to get on board and do that. So they were doing that very well.
Kathy had 17 points. Pac had a double-double, 11 points and 11 boards. But one player that had a big game was Brianna Fuller. She was 7 of 14 from the field. Was that a game that she needed after struggling a bit against West Texas A&M?
Certainly, and she's really struggled for a while, and I think her confidence was kind of wavering a little bit, you can tell them what you want to tell them, and you can tell them you're unstoppable, you can tell them you can do this, but until they actually see the fruits of their labor, then they might not understand it. So it was good for her to see those fruits.
How does she fit into this system going forward?
I think, we're learning still so much about this team, and there's certain offenses that work better with certain players, and so we've been mixing our offenses up and putting Bree in an offense that maybe she's a little more comfortable with, and where there's a little less motion and more posting up and using her size.
We don't want to. We talk about this, but we seem to talk about it a lot. But your bench came in and scored 29 points against Eastern New Mexico. They had a whole bucket load of points last night against McMurray. You've got just this fantastic bench in there as well, and they seem to be hitting a good. Everybody on the team seems to be hitting a good level right now in the season.
And we talked about that actually last night after our game, and how more and more the bench, the depth is going to become more important. You're going to be playing back-to-back games, which we do in our conference, but you're going to be playing them in tournaments and bigger back-to-back games where, if you can wear a team down and then you've got the depth, then, you can really take advantage of teams during that stretch. And so we just keep preaching to them, be focused, be engaged, and when it's your turn to step on the floor, be ready.
Against Eastern New Mexico, 40 points in the paint. Great job down low.
And part of that was our post players. Part of that was also the transition. We shot more layups than we usually do. And when you got 3-on-2 opportunities, 2-on-1, you're going to get more layups and more points in the paint, and we were able to do that. And of course, Bree having 14 points and Pop scoring with her backs to the basket, that helped as well.
Let's talk about last night. The Texans went 100 miles to Abilene, shortest road trip of the year, and you won that game 85-62. We got home at 9:30 last night, Coach. You feel refreshed this morning?
Yeah, that was really good because my 3-year-old went with us, and I was like, man, why is she still awake? And then it was like, oh, it's just 9:30. That's not real late for her. As a coach's kid, she stays up a lot later than that. So, but yeah, it was very nice, and I know it was nice for the girls, and we had a pretty good practice this morning.
You you visit McMurray and you win there for the first time since 1991. General thoughts against the Warhawks?
Again, an overall good team victory. I think everybody scored. So that's always fun, and even the girls that started and weren't playing there towards the end, they were very engaged and supportive of their teammates, and that's always fun to see and good to see. And but again, we did a really good job in transition, pushing the ball and scoring out of our NBA break.
Megan Odell, we talked about this a little bit last night, but Megan Odell is a player that can come out and have 14 points for you every night, and that's what she did last night. But it seems like that was the game that she needed, both A, playing in what was her hometown, and B, through the injuries and everything that she's fought this year. It seems like she really needed that one.
She did, and one thing we talked about her, she's a really good shooter, and she spends any extra time she has, she's in the gym, she's in the weight room. If we take a day off from weights, she goes and lifts. And we've talked to her about taking that work ethic and carrying it over to the games and using those things in a game, and being shooter ready and things like that, and she did a good job of that last night.
It seemed to me as well that the hoop was an ocean whenever it came to shooting from downtown. It was 69% from three, which is insane from three, shooting more than 15 times. You did a great job on the perimeter.
Well, I think open shots are a lot easier to knock down than guarded shots, especially from the three-point line, and we were doing a good job of penetrating and finding the open girl last night, and so we had the opportunity to shoot open three-pointers as opposed to guarded.
27 points off turnovers in that game. That to me says a lot of closing out possessions, closing out your opportunities, taking advantage of that. How big is that with the conference tournament next week?
It's big. When you force turnovers, you want to be able to capitalize on them and use it to as a positive in the game, and we were able to do that last night. And even against Eastern New Mexico, I felt like we did a good job of making better decisions. Sometimes, you get a turnover and you get to go on 100 miles per hour, and then you might either take a bad shot or turn it back over. And we did a better job of making better decisions last night.
Final note on the McMurray game, Coach. You put in your reserves with quite a bit of time left in the game, and I saw several coachable moments for you in that game. How much more valuable is coaching younger players that are the future in a game as opposed to in practice?
And I think it's important, you know, for them to get that game feel, because it is different. You can have very high intensity practices, but it's very different on game day when you have the nerves and you have the adrenaline, you have everything else factoring in. So I think it's important that they get in. They haven't gotten as much playing time as maybe I would have liked for them to get this season, but I thought they did a good job. There was a little rough patch there for a while, and but once they settled down and started executing the offense, they did a lot better.
Coach, on the other side of the break, we talked to track and field coach Pat Ponder. Did you ever do cross-country track and field when you were a youngster?
I do have a cross-country story. In 8th grade, they made me run the 2-mile.
Oh, gosh.
I got about the second lap, and I found a big group of people and ran right off the track into those people because I knew I was not going to finish. So that's cross-country. I was a track runner. I was actually pretty fast in the short distances, but not long distance.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. We'll talk to you on the other side of this one. When we come back in 1 minute, we will chat with Tarleton track and field coach Pat Ponder. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to First Financial Bank on the South Loop in Stephenville. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show, and I'm the voice of the Tarleton State Texans, Kelton Wings. I'm now joined by Tarleton State track and field and cross country head coach Pat Ponder. Welcome, Coach. Great to have you here today.
Good to be here.
Every track and cross country coach I've ever come in contact with lives for the cold.
Yes.
Are you a cold weather person?
Yes, this is great track weather.
Well, Coach, let's jump right in it. I wouldn't think so, but that's just me. You're coming off a meet in Lubbock in which you set 16 school records. And that, to me, seems like a whole lot.
Well, it was. In fact, I didn't realize just how good we had it as far as the meet was concerned until Jeff Smith called me for quotes and told me that we had broken 16 school records. And I went, wow, I had no idea either we ran really well and threw really well and jumped high, or those records were low and we broke them. I don't know. I would like to think we competed very well.
Coach, the 4x4 is one of my favorite races ever.
Okay.
And to have two different teams set school records in that race, it's got to say good things about your program.
Well, it says a lot of good things about Coach Hobbs. He's doing an outstanding job. If you've ever seen him, he's relentless in his work ethic, and obviously we have some talent, and the kids are running really well, and they're reacting to his workouts in a positive way, which is always good. And so, yeah, anytime you can put two teams out there that are running really fast, that gives us some options as far as putting a fast A team.
To me, it seems like you can only go so fast on the track, like Usain Bolt. Whenever he breaks a record, he breaks it just by hundredths of a second. You seem to be really splitting hairs. So what does it say about a team like a women's team that breaks it by 12 seconds?
Well, we just had to find the right combinations. We had a couple of kids that we did not run at the first meet that we didn't feel were ready. And so, but we knew that we could get them ready in a month. And so, whenever they came out the second meet, it pretty much showcased what we knew, what we felt like they were capable of doing. And anytime you have a Ladaria Nelson and you put her on the 4x4, she's going to split about a 56 400 for you.
Good.
Yeah.
What about on the men's side? They set a new record at the second week in a row.
Well, again, that's Terrence Gross, a young man we got from football. Last year he was a state champion and ranked in the top 50 in the nation in the 400, and he wasn't ready. He was still coming out of football, and so we got him in track shape. And so just adding a guy like Terrence, who's a 47 400-meter guy, that's huge. That makes a big difference. And I'm going to tell you, the conference championships and that 4x4 is going to be hot. It's going to be a very hot race.
Who's the team to beat in that?
We are.
You are?
We're the defending champs. We're the defending champs, and until you knock us off, we're the team to beat. And I know Commerce and West Texas are going to be pretty solid, and they're going to be gunning for us. But I think we got four guys that are going to put it out there, and they're going to race fast.
Chase Radke, just one last note on that Lubbock meet. He runs the 800 meters in a minute and 50 seconds. I've never done anything that productive in a minute and 50 seconds.
Well, he lives for speed, And you know, he kept telling me before the meet that, Coach, I just need some speed. I need some speed. And I said, no, son, speed's not your problem. You need your endurance up, and then we'll incorporate the speed. And so when he ran the 800 and ran a 150.7, he came up to me and he said, Coach, I think you're right. I said, no, I know I'm right. You know, and so now what I have with Chase is I have a guy that's qualified for nationals in the 800 and the mile, and we spoke this morning about what event we thought we would do the best in, and I think we've kind of come to the conclusion the mile is going to be where we're going to put all our money.
Coach, you're in the indoor season right now, and I came from a small school, but whenever they have track, it's just track. That's it. And so what advantages, or how does an indoor season help your team out that maybe an outdoor season won't, and vice versa?
Well, you've heard that old saying, all work, no play makes Johnny a dull boy.
Right.
When you don't have indoor, these kids are training basically the start of September all the way through till March, until it'll be our first outdoor meet. So when Coach Reisman brought this to our attention about sponsoring indoor track, I thought, man, this is great. And plus all the other schools in the conference were doing it. So they were using it as a tool against us in recruiting. So that was big. But it gives the track kids, the throwers, the jumpers, the runners, sprinters, gives those guys a chance to compete, because the distance runners have cross country.
Right.
And so, you know, they're competing pretty much year round. So now, you know, the distance kids are competing year round with cross country, indoor and outdoor. So we start September and actually August, and we get through end of May, 1st of June.
You head to Lubbock for the third time this indoor season.
I know every pebble on that road on 84.
What about in that building? I've never been to the bubble. Tell us what the bubble is like.
Well, the bubble, when you walk into it, it's really kind of breathtaking, because it's big, right. And you're just looking around, and of course then when they're firing the guns inside, it'll get your attention pretty quick. But it's really, you know, it's an awesome facility, and I'll say this, you know, thanks to Wes Kitley and his staff that allow us to use that facility. Obviously we rent it, the conference does, but the fact that that's the only indoor facility that will allow us as Division II schools to use is pretty awesome. And you know, the thing that I would like, if it was an oval track, you know, it's a circle track, so we're constantly turning, and that's kind of difficult, I think, especially for guys that are tall. But you know, Chase kind of has to navigate a little bit. But you know, it's a great atmosphere. You know, I'll be honest with you. You know, this weekend they're calling for snow, but I'm not going to worry about it because we're going to be inside. I told Coach I'll be just like Coach Reisman and Misty and the indoor coaches, so it works out pretty good for us.
Finally, Coach, conference meet this weekend. Give us your breakdown of how it's going to shake out.
Well, you know, obviously we're going to go in there and compete, and on paper, you know, paper doesn't really tell us much. You know, it's the heart that goes into the competition, but you know, obviously I'd say that the reality is West Texas is pretty strong, and Commerce is pretty strong on the men's side, and then Angelo and WT on the women, and we're in the mix as well. There'll be some things that we're going to do really well, and then there's some areas that, you know, we've got to find some points. I told somebody before I came in here, we got about 18 points on the men's side that we are going to have to leave at home due to injuries, and that's never good. So we're going to have to, you know, next man up, next woman up, and hopefully they produce. And if they do, we're going to be fine. But it's going to be a great meet. It's going to be a you know, very competitive meet. I mean, when you start looking at the Lone Star Conference, you know, we're not as strong indoor as we are outdoor at the national level, right. but we're still pretty strong, and we'll be well represented in any of the athletes that qualify for the NCAA championships. They're going to be competitors.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
That was Tarleton track coach, Pat Ponder. When we come back in 1 minute, we'll talk the upcoming week in Texan basketball. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. I'd like to thank Domino's Pizza for providing the lunch today for our live audience here at First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Waynes, the voice of the Tarleton Texans on the Coach Misty Wilson radio show. Welcome back, Coach. It's time now to run through the Lone Star Conference scoreboard from the last week. On Thursday, Texas Women's beat Eastern New Mexico by 2 in Portales, 64-62. On Saturday, Midwestern State over Texas A&M Kingsville, 68-63. In Wichita Falls, West Texas A&M over Commerce, 88-73. In Commerce, in Lawton, Cameron beat Angelo State, 79-54. And of course, Tarleton over Eastern New Mexico, 77-68. And then on Sunday, West Texas A&M beat Texas Women, 70-56. With the win, West Texas claimed the LSC championship in the 1 seed heading into the conference tournament. Then on Wednesday, February 25th, that was last night, Texas Women's beat Texas A&M Commerce 63-53. That, to me, Coach, seems like a big game in terms of seeding right there in the middle of the conference.
Definitely, and we were actually watching the live stats on that during the men's game of Evan Murray.
And taking a look at the current Lone Star Conference standings, West Texas A&M continues to lead the conference at 14-1, Cameron at 12-3, Midwestern State is third at 11-4, Tarleton State is fourth at 8-7, Texas Women's is fifth at 8-8, Texas A&M Commerce is sixth at 7-8, Eastern New Mexico is seventh at 5-10, Angelo State is at 3-12, and Texas A&M Kingsville no wins and 15 losses in this one. Just a general thought, Coach, you're going to play either Texas Women's or Texas A&M Commerce in the first round. Do you have a preference?
I really don't. At this time of the season, you're just happy to be in the conference tournament, and you're going to go out and compete.
Now, you did it last year where you ended the year against Texas A&M Commerce, then you played them in the first round of the conference tournament. Is that difficult to do, to play someone back-to-back that close like that?
It is. It actually worked out for us last year, kind of, I guess you could say. We lost, during the regular season, but turned around and beat them pretty bad in the first round of the conference tournament. So it is tough to do, especially it's tough to play anyone 3 times. And, every team you play, you're going to be playing them for the 3rd time. So
the Texans will begin the conference tournament in Allen on March the 5th. That's Thursday at either noon or 6. Stay tuned to tarletonsports.com for complete details on that. And the next edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show, because of the conference tournament, will be next Monday at noon from First Financial Bank right here on March 2nd. That's at noon right here. The regional rankings were released yesterday, Coach, and not a whole lot of changes. Colorado Mesa jumps Midwestern State from 3 to 2. West Texas A&M still leading it, but Tarleton still 8th in the region. And is that a little bit of relief after you drop that one to West Texas A&M that you're still in there?
Well, certainly, but you're playing the number one. Yeah, you're playing the number 1 team, and there's still a lot of games left. So ideally, we'd like to get out of that number 8 spot because it's kind of a nerve-wracking spot to be in.
Coach, on Saturday, you're back at home to play the Lions of Texas A&M Commerce. You dropped that game to Commerce on January 31st, 84-77. One of the factors was that Commerce really got off to a hot both halves in that one. How do you fix that going forward?
Well, really, the thing we did not do well was guard the 3-point line, and we talked about taking open looks as opposed to guarded looks at the 3-point line, and we gave them too many open looks. We stayed in our zone, and didn't do a very good job of contesting those 3-point shooters, and they've got probably like 5 really big girls. I mean, they are big. I mean, one of our post players gets behind them and you can't even see her.
Right.
And so, you have to stop them inside, but you also have to be able to contest those shots from the outside.
It's senior day on Saturday, Coach. Do you remember your senior day?
I specifically, no. But, yeah, it was a long time ago.
Well, that game is a 5 p.m. tip-off from Wisdom Gym against Texas A&M Commerce. National Farm Life pregame show begins at 4:45 right here on KTRL 90.5 FM. Again, that's senior day on Saturday, February 28th. We're going to take our final 1-minute break, and whenever we come back, we will wrap up the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank in Stephenville. This is the Tarleton Sports Network presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank. Time now for giveaways for our live audience here at the bank. First, we'd like to thank Domino's Pizza for providing lunch today for our live audience. Our first winner, Jerry Thornton. Jerry, congratulations. Jerry's going to flip a card the way this game works. If you are listening at home, you contestants will, or our winners rather, will go and flip a card and determine what they've won.
Jerry, I hope you get a hat.
He gets a long sleeve shirt. Congratulations, Jerry. Our next winner in this one, Charles Velasquez. Congratulations, Charles. See what Charles has won. A hat. There's the hat. Congratulations, Charles. And Don Jones is our next winner. Congratulations, Don. 3 cards to pick from. Is there a prize that you'd like over there, Coach?
I could always use another little cooler bag.
Don,
we have so many of them, but we use them all the time.
First Financial Bank hat for Don Jones. Congratulations to all our winners. Here at the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show, I'd like to remind everyone the Coach Lon Reisman Radio Show is on Fridays from 12 to 12:30 at Bruner Motors at the corner of Lillian and the South Loop. Join the voice of the Tarleton Texans, Casey Hogan, on 90.5 KTRL and tarletonsports.com/listen live from now until February 28th. That's Saturday, folks. Fans can purchase tickets to the Lone Star Conference Tournament in Allen, March 4th through the 7th. All tournament passes are discounted, and if you buy a session pass at the Tarleton ticket office, you can get a free shirt. But that is just through February 28th, and you have to pick them up at the Wisdom Gym ticket office. Coach Julie Mata's softball team is off to a 9-9 start, and they opened Lone Star Conference play this weekend against the defending national champions, West Texas A&M. But the series times have changed in this one, folks, because of forecasted bad weather. The series against West Texas A&M begins at a doubleheader Saturday at 1 p.m. with the final doubleheader on Sunday at noon. The Tarleton Texan baseball team starts its conference schedule this weekend in a 4-game series against Eastern New Mexico out in Portales. The Texans will return home for 9 games in 2 weeks against St. Mary's, Angelo State, and Cameron next week. Also, good luck to Coach Pat Ponder's track and field team in Lubbock this weekend for the Lone Star Conference Championship, and good luck to Coach Lance Drake's Texan tennis team as they head to Albuquerque, New Mexico for some big in-region matches against Metro State, Western New Mexico, and Colorado Mesa. Again, the next broadcast of Texan basketball is this Saturday, February 28th, in the home finale for Tarleton State against Texas A&M Commerce. Tip-off is scheduled for 5 p.m. while the pregame begins on 90.5 KTRL at 4:45. Also, the next Coach Misty Wilson radio show will be at noon on Monday, March 2nd from First Financial Bank. Because of the conference tournament, we will be out of town. So Monday, March 2nd is the next Misty Wilson radio show. Finally, Coach, this Saturday is senior day. You've got some great seniors on this team. You know, talk about them a little bit, how much they'll be missed.
Well, they'll certainly be missed. Carly and Kathy both have done such a great job of leading this team, and losing 3 seniors, the 3 seniors that we did last year, they stepped right into that role and have done just a fabulous job. They're both on schedule to graduate, and there's no doubt in my mind that they'll do well with the rest of their life, and they will be sorely missed.
Well, Coach, thanks very much for your time today, and we'll talk to you on Saturday from Wisdom Gym.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for the 8th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank. I'd like to thank everyone involved with this broadcast of Tarleton Athletics, track and field coach Pat Ponder for joining us earlier, our producer back at the KTRL studio, Aaron Young, and our on-site engineer, Jody Lee Cottle. Also like to thank the Plowboys for coming out for every show today. Big thanks to the Plowboys. Thanks to Nathan Burrell and Jeff Smith from the Tarleton Sports Information staff. Thanks to Domino's Pizza for today's lunch, and to First Financial Bank for being such great hosts of this radio show. Most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and for supporting Tarleton State Athletics. For the first-year head coach of the Texans, I'm Kelton Wings, and we will talk to you on Saturday from Wisdom Gym. Thanks, and have a great day.